In under 2 hours, West Ham United will take on Leicester City in the Premier League. Now, coming off the back of an incredible win at the Emirates on Saturday, West Ham will be looking to kick on in the Premier League and get 2 wins inside the space of a week with an 11-day break between this game and our next game. It is really key and pivotal that Graham Potter continues to build momentum and rectify some of that dreadful home form that we have seen in recent weeks. Welcome back to West Ham Unofficial and welcome to our match build-up show for West Ham versus Leicester City to conclude the week's midweek Premier League action, and it comes from the London Stadium. Sorry, I just had a bit of Lindt chocolate in my mouth there as I opened the show. Casual and professional as always. Good evening, everybody watching. I hope you are all well. Team lineup in 4 minutes is what's coming in the immediate future, and we're going to see whether Graham Potter opts for that back three or that back five tonight. Whether he opts for that back three or back four tonight is what I wanted to say. Whether he deems Leicester as an opponent with lesser quality and lesser calibre, and therefore he believes we are secure and safe with a back four, or whether he goes by the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and sticks with that back five that was so good for us on Saturday against Arsenal. Leicester City down there in the dumps in the relegation zone, and they're there for a reason. They have been pretty dreadful in this Premier League. Start off the season with Steve Cooper in charge. He got sacked when Van Nistelrooy came in, and we gifted them his new manager bounce in the reverse fixture. 3-1 victory for the Foxes at the King Power in a game where West Ham had over 30 shots and somehow only scored 1 goal. Chance upon chance upon chance. But the story of the night was we just simply didn't take those chances. Leicester were clinical and in the end were better. And ironically, that night, that game was on Amazon Prime Video, and Graham Potter was a pundit, and he was asked directly afterwards whether he would be linked or whether he would take the West Ham job, and he was incredibly diplomatic about it. Who would have thought a month later he was the West Ham head coach? Now, Leicester are a side that were really, that have been really poor. We cannot let them do the double over us. That would be a pretty stark and really, really poor reminder of what's been a meh average season so far for the Hammers. Now, they lost to Brentford last week, and they were toothless, spineless, really poor. And we've got to try and capitalise on that. Now, listen, Brentford are a good side. Don't get me wrong. Really good side, but 3-0 up inside half an hour at home to Brentford. Come on. Friday night, they just seemed depleted, didn't they? You know, under the lights, build up a bit of momentum maybe at home. No, they were incredibly poor. We've got to try and capitalise. The first 20 minutes of this game is the most crucial. That makes or breaks it, I think, for West Ham, because they could potentially have Jamie Vardy play off the shoulder of our incredibly slow centre-halves, and they'll play that straight ball, like Brentford did against us a few weeks ago, straight ball through, and Jamie Vardy's through on goal, and he could score inside 5 minutes. He could mirror what happened against Brentford. Or we could start on the front foot, be attacking, be progressive, get a goal up, and I think we don't look back from that point on. It's so crucial. The first goal in this game illustrates the whole entirety and complexity of the game in terms of what path that it takes. If they score first, it's going to be a thorny, scrappy, really poor evening. If we score first early, I think we could run away with it and be quite comfortable victors. So there's 2 pretty different juxtaposed paths that this game can take tonight, and I wouldn't like to predict which way it would take. We're less than a minute away from those team lineups, so this is a time where I scramble to get to the West Ham Twitter page and refresh the page, ready to see that team lineup. Now, I've just seen some pure, I won't say the word, something housery from West Ham, and I'm sure you can all gather what the other word is. On our Twitter page, on West Ham's Twitter page, look what the header is. Look at the header. You can see Declan Rice looking really not very happy, and Jarrod Bowen after he headed the ball into the back of the net. Now, that is the type of banter that we like, West Ham admin. I love that. I love that. So the time is 6:45, which to my estimations would now believe that the team lineup is out and West Ham are unchanged this evening. Wow, there we are. Areola in goal, a back five of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman, Creswell, Scarles, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Souček, Bowen, Kudus. Do you know what? I did not expect that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is the line that Graham Potter is taking in terms of the team lineup tonight. Creswell, brilliant. Scarles, brilliant. But I didn't expect both of them to start in a back five tonight. Now, listen, you're going to get some moaners and groaners that are going to come out tonight and go, why are we playing a back five at home to Leicester? It's so negative. We should be better. We should be playing a little bit more progressively. But it worked on Saturday, so I don't see a reason of changing it. I didn't expect Potter to stick with it, but I sort of wanted him to. That's what I would have done. I expected him to change it and open it up and go for a back four and try and be a bit more attacking. But fair play to him. He's stuck to what he believes in, and he's answered the question that we've been talking about all week on the channel on various videos and live streams in terms of will he go back three, will he go back four, and he's going to stick with this now. You know, this is the biggest indication that Graham Potter is going to stick with this back three stroke five no matter what, because we played top of the league. Sorry, they're not top of the league. They're closer to 10th than they are to first. Arsenal near the top of the league, and now we're playing near the bottom of the league, and he hasn't changed it one bit. Potter's going to stick with this back five, and he's going to maintain it, and he's going to carry it on. That is the biggest indication to show that. And I like it. I don't mind it. It worked. So let's try it again, and hopefully it works this evening. I don't mind it. I don't. Yeah, some people are going to moan and say that it's not attacking enough. But at the end of the day, it worked on Saturday, and there's no reason why it shouldn't work again today. Of course, it's different opponents. Of course, they're going to play different ways. But we won against second in the league. So should you change that? Some would say yes, some would say no, dependent on opponent. 2-0 to West Ham, says the Bowling Lounge, although I'm a little bit nervous about predicting a clean sheet. Well, a clean sheet on Saturday, but yeah, they have been hard to come by this year. And back-to-back clean sheets could be quite something. Couldn't it? Some more comments. Michael, hope you well. 3-0, Kudus to get his first goal, Ferguson and Bowen. Love that. Love that. Absolutely 3-0. There we are. Lewis, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I hope you are well. This has got the West Ham way written all over it. Beat Arsenal, put our hopes up and lose to Leicester. Regrettably, Danny, I do agree with your sentiment there. Absolutely. I said it to Dad just about an hour ago. I said it would be the most West Ham thing to go and beat Arsenal and then be dreadful at home to Leicester. It is the complete definition of the West Ham way. I hope we're going to get proven wrong. I hope as a professional and, really preserve performance tonight and we can get over the line comfortably like we should and win the game like we should. But you do never know. You do never know. There's the team lineup. Let's have a look at the bench. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Let's look at the bench. Fabianski, Soler, Mavropanos, Guilherme, Ings, Rodriguez, Emerson, Ferguson, and Irving. Now, one thing that I do want to pick up with this is that it is still no start for Evan Ferguson. Now, we spoke about this on the preview last night. We've got an 11-day break until our next game. A week Monday is our next game after this at home to Newcastle. Now, we've only got Evan Ferguson till the end of May, right? And this is a very stagnated and broken up month. We've got FA Cup weekends, we've got international breaks. There's all sorts going on in March. It's not a great deal of Premier League football coming up. So then all of a sudden we're in it. I mean, we've literally got 2 games in March. One of those Newcastle, one of those are Everton. So 2 games in a 4-week period. FA Cup, international break, as I previously stated. So I thought tonight would have been the perfect opportunity to start Evan Ferguson. That's probably the only change I would have definitely made tonight. Brought Ferguson into the side because otherwise he's got to wait basically 2 weeks for his start, and then he can play again for a week, and then there's another week off. He's not going to build up any confidence or momentum. He's a player that was 4th choice at Brighton, a player that's injury prone, and a player that has very little confidence. And we can't be doing him any good by not starting him. I would have started him tonight. That's the only little nitpick that I have with Graham Potter's 11, because if we're not going to start him now, we're waiting, and it's just dragging on and on before we start to get regular starts for Ferguson, try and get him scoring goals, because that's what he's here for. He's here for a short time to score goals. He can't do that sat on the bench. I'd have started him tonight, but Graham Potter chose not to, and we'll probably see him off the bench in the second half in some capacity. Can you please show me the back of your West Ham shirt? I've got Bowen on the back of my shirt. I'm not going to turn around because I've got headphones on. That could cause a world of problems. But yeah, unchanged. So I was hoping he would be a bit more ambitious, but not entirely surprised. He's kept faith with a winning 11. And yeah, the Bowen Lounge, I think you've illustrated both sides of the argument there really well. And the way Potter's decided to go, we'll see come 10 o'clock tonight whether that was the right thing to do. Lineup is good. I'm expecting a more aggressive style of play and tactics. I'm expecting us to be a little bit more on the front foot and take the game to Leicester a little bit more than we did against Arsenal on Saturday. I'm not criticising that technique at all. More than a 3 than a 5, absolutely. And I spoke about this on the upload that I did yesterday. It was yesterday, yeah. In terms of it's a progressive back 3 with Scholes and Wan-Bissaka, who are two very, very attack-minded wing backs. It's more of a back 3 than a back 5. So there's a stigma with a back 5 that it's, part the bus, 1-0 sort of formation and approach. But this back 3 is a little bit different. It's a little bit more progressive for me, and I hope that we see that in action tonight. Was hoping Ferguson would start, but I don't mind the lineup. Evening to you, Sharky. I hope you are well. Phil, greetings live from the ground now. I hope you are well. Enjoy the game tonight, Phil. Hopefully you can bring all 3 points back for us. While we don't need Ferguson, I think Potter will keep his minutes low to avoid injuries, I suppose, but he's here for such a short time. I'd start him. I just started him tonight if it was me in charge. Michael says it could be a 3-4-1-2. It could be. Suchek is that one, and then Bowen and Kudus up front. Is that what you're going for? Andrew, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Come on, you irons, indeed. So, in terms of prediction tonight, it's really hard to predict because you don't know what West Ham side are going to turn out. We've been so unpredictable. We've been brilliant away from home under Potter. Villa away in both games. I thought we were really good. Chelsea away, we were really unlucky. We should have got at least a point of that game. And the Arsenal game speaks for itself. So we've been really good away from home. But that's a complete antithesis of us at home. Brentford game, dreadful. Palace game, dreadful. And they're completely contrasting in terms of our performances and then results. So we need to change the home form tonight. It needs to start now. We need a fresh slate. We need to start well, and we need to get some points on the board at home because this home form is beginning to become a worry, and we don't want that worry to extend past tonight. A professional performance, nice 2 or 3-0 win for West Ham. No stress, no drama, 3 points on the board. Leicester closer to relegation and West Ham closer or practically at Premier League safety, although I think we've been there for quite a long time. I never have really considered us as relegation contenders, but, we are down there in 16th, 15th. So whenever you're down there that low, you're always going to be considered as sort of revealed by Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim a few weeks ago, sat in 15th, claiming that they could well be in a relegation battle. But no, I don't think there's any threats or concerns of that. But it would just be nice to get these 3 points on the board, 6 points in a week. Any West Ham fan would snap your hand off of that. Absolutely, the maximum amount of points from Arsenal and Leicester would be a brilliant and profitable return from this week, and Graham Potter would love that going into this mini 11-day break that we have now before a tough test at home to Newcastle on a week Monday. So for me, a prediction 2 or 3-0 to West Ham. I'm hoping that we can turn up and be on the front foot tonight, not allow Leicester to settle into the game and allow their fans to become vocal and allow our fans to sit there and for it to be a dull and dreary night. Let's start well. Let's get the ball to the likes of Bowen and Kudus early on and get Wan-Bissaka and Scholes bombing down those wings and be direct and get the ball in the box and cause problems and create chances and generate opportunities because at the end of the day, Leicester are where they are for a reason. They're second bottom, only kept off the bottom by one of the worst Premier League sides in Premier League history, Southampton, for a reason. They're going to get relegated. They're going to go down. We can't let them do the double over us because that's embarrassing, right? Absolutely embarrassing. We lost at their place. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine and beat them at our place. And let's just hope we can start well to get a bit of an atmosphere tonight because there's been a lot of apathy in terms of home games in the last few weeks. And of course, there should be a little bit more what's the word, enthusiasm and urgency and energy in the fan base, of course, after the long overdue announcement from the club earlier on that they are restoring concessions in all parts of the ground and they're freezing season ticket prices, despite reports that it was actually going to go up by 4 or 5% for next season. So it should be a bit of a buzz and a bit of happiness and sort of, nodding of heads from the fans tonight. They should have a little bit more of a smile on their face because concessions have been restored. The right thing, absolutely, they should never have been taken away to start with. So it's just the right thing being done. But it's been going on for a long time, and at one point I thought they'd never bring them back because they've just stuck by it and been resolute about it. But they finally caved to the, to all of the fan advisory boards and all the rest of it, and it's been rectified and it's been eradicated in terms of the full price tickets for under 18s and over 65. So that's good. So let's just start fresh in terms of the stadium. Let's hope there's a bit of an atmosphere tonight. Concessions are back. West Ham have just beat Arsenal. We've got an opportunity to push ourselves even further above that relegation zone and really make this a glorified pre-season for Graham Potter going into next season, where we start properly and have a real discussion about the progression and where we're going as a club. So yeah, let's get all of that nonsense done and dusted tonight. Let's move ourselves to where we need to be, securely safe and ready to focus on the remaining 11 or whatever games we have left of this season. So yeah, we don't want to be poor tonight and then have a big break and then have a real couple of tough games. Newcastle at home, they always seem to beat us at home. They're a good side. And then Everton away. Don't underestimate Everton away under David Moyes as well. I'll after the trip to Goodison Park. It's written in the stars David Moyes is going to, get something over us, isn't he? So those are two tough games to follow this game. So that adds to the, real necessary nature of winning tonight. We should win and we need to win. Feels like a must win. And I think we will do it, but there's still that sort of 20% hesitancy within me that's like, oh, typical West Ham, the West Ham way, beat Arsenal, brilliant, lose to Leicester, awful. It's just got that in my head, and I just hope that doesn't come and doesn't ring true. We will have a look at the Leicester lineup before we go to target and pinpoint their attacking threats going forward to see what our back 5/3 will have to deal with tonight. So bear with me with that. There's some names to read out here, blimey. So bear with me. Hermanson in goal, Justin, Vestergaard, Valfas, Christensen, Sumare, Ndidi, Alkanous, Decadova-Reid, Buonanotte, and of course Jamie Vardy. Captain leads the line for Leicester. Let's look at the bench. I'm sure there'll be some names on here. Blimey, I'm right. Stolarishik, Connor Cody, Akoli, Thomas, Wink, Skip, Mavadidi, Ayu, and Daka. It's like the blimmin' Tottenham Academy bench there, isn't it? Wink, Skip. So there's a couple of ex-Tottenham midfielders on the bench there. Mavadidi's been an attacking threat. Ayu always scores against us. And Daka, a player that we were linked with for several transfer windows and never really got over the line. He's never really fired at Leicester either, so maybe we dodged a bullet there. Listen, we know the inevitability of Jamie Vardy. That goes without saying. I'm sure he'll wind us up in some way, and he's a proven Premier League goal scorer over several years. So he will be a threat. And if they get the ball and they get the service and they, feed him well, then he will take his chances. We know that. Players supporting him. I think Buonanotte has been a shining light for Leicester this season from what I've seen of them. So he's one to keep an eye on. Decadova-Reid, was he at Fulham, I think, beforehand? And Alkanous again. I think Alkanous and Buonanotte have been two of the very few shining lights for Leicester this season. Defensively, they looked incredibly disorganised against Brentford the other week. Justin, Vestergaard, fast. They didn't have a clue where they were going, how they were doing it, and when they were doing it. So we just need to apply pressure in the right areas in terms of them defensively. And I think there are mistakes in them, both positionally and in terms of losing the ball in bad areas. So apply the pressure in the right areas. They're not great defensively. They've got potential going forward. We need to dominate the midfield. Alvarez and Souček in there. They need to do what they always do and try and win that midfield battle. And from that moment on, I think we can obtain and gain as much control in the game as possible. That lineup doesn't scare me. It shouldn't do their second bottom, but you've still got to give them their credit. they're in the Premier League. They've got the likes of Jamie Vardy, who has that inevitability of scoring in the Premier League. So we need to be mindful tonight, is what I'm going to say. Not a lot more than that. We just need to be mindful. My final thought is get it done. Nothing silly, no hassle, no drama. 2 or 3-0 win in a game we should be winning to cap off a pretty fantastic week for West Ham. 6 points out of 6 is what's required, and Graham Potter will be requesting that from his team tonight before we head into an 11-day break. FA Cup this weekend, so no game. So this is effectively our game this weekend. So let's make it count. Let's get those 3 points and let's put in a really good performance to gain a little bit of atmosphere and positivity around the fan base and in the ground, because we've had some really poor games at the London Stadium in recent weeks. So let's get back to having a bit of atmosphere under the lights. Let's start well. Let's have something for the fans to get off their seats about and chant and clap and, generate some sort of atmosphere. And I think then we're on to a winner. Let's take some comments before we carry on. Danny says, I love Somerville, not sure where he fits in with Potter's formation though. Yeah, I do agree actually. I think he's a really good player, and I thought he was our pretty much only attacking shining light consistently under Julian Lopetegui, but so unfortunately he keeps picking up these injuries, because I think he could thrive under Potter. In what sort of area and position and how we play him, I'm not entirely sure, but look, we'll see. We'll see. Michael says Vardy and Reed are their main threats. They are absolutely. We will see more of Guilherme next season if Kudus and Piquet are not there. Well, I've heard we're going to sell Guilherme, so whether that'll happen or not, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you'd expect if Kudus and Piquet go, then Guilherme could fill that void, maybe alongside Somerville as well. Areola to kick it straight out 3 times. Sharky's going 4 times. Areola kicking the ball out of play. Bingo enforced in the West Ham official chat there. There we go. Frog says, on paper, we should be peeing this, but we all know how that works. Absolutely. The West Ham way. Absolutely. There we are. Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Thank you, Katie, as well. Come on, you irons, Andrew. Absolutely. Hit the like button before we go. What's our lineup? It's unchanged from Saturday against Arsenal. Back 5, stroke 3. Still no Ferguson in the lineup. Frog says there's potential good overlap with the squad with rotation according to opposition. Absolutely. And there's players that can potentially come off the bench if hopefully in an ideal world we're comfortable in the second half. Definitely get Ferguson on there. Give Guilherme half an hour, because he's having 5 or 6 minutes here and there. That's doing him no good. If we're in a game like this, if we're comfortable, give the fella half an hour. Give some players a rest. I know we've got a break between games now, but some of them have played a lot of football this season, and they've just been flogged like dead horses, week in, week out. And a break and a rest can't hurt them, and it can't hurt us given those squad players and those players that have not had as much game time as they'd like, giving them a chance. It's also noting 2 games in the space of 5 days for the likes of Aaron Creswell, who has not played a lot of football in recent years, really. I think you could expand that out to how will he cope in terms of fatigue and keeping fit and, keeping engaged in it for a man, for him in his 30s, who probably hasn't played back-to-back Premier League games in quite a while. How long, will he be able to play all the games tonight? That's something else that Potter needs to consider. But he started him again, so he obviously deems that they're all ready and they're able enough to go again and beat Leicester tonight, and that is the main thing. So thanks everybody for watching and getting involved in the chat tonight. Let's hope for a nice, comfortable 2 or 3-0 win to set us well on our way. From me, come on, you irons. I'll do a short reaction on the full-time whistle, but until then, enjoy the game, and I'll see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much, and goodbye.